why am I interested in helping people with serious mental illness? I'm interested because my husband and I have a beautiful, sometimes difficult, talented, stubborn son who has struggled with serious mental illness for over 20 years. And, you know, I think as a mother, I maybe erroneously thought with both of my children, you know, oh, they're struggling in this way. Well, we'll do this and this and this, and this will support them, and this will help them. But when you enter into the world of serious mental illness and the ways that you're trying to find to help them and to support them, first of all, there's no one clear direction. You have about 100 or so people telling you to do 100 different things. Depending on the funding, etc. Sometimes there are great programs, sometimes there are not great programs. It really can feel like a full-time job. In 2010, she knows what I'm going to say, my husband Gary had a sabbatical, a chance for a sabbatical in New York City. And I was director of graduate career counseling at Notre Dame. Loved it, but we had to do a lot more with recruiters. And I was like, do I really want to do all this recruiter stuff? Go like a counselor. And I thought, I think I'm going to quit my job and go with him to New York City. It was wonderful, except I was concerned about Chris and how would he do without our support. So I planned to come back every couple of weekends. I talked to Lynn. I said, I'm so nervous. She said, Lisa, listen, we're looking after him. We have a caseworker, we have this, the Sunshine Clubhouse, which was run by Anderson Center at the time, was in existence. Okay. Telling me, do not worry, Lisa. Okay. So I'm walking across Central Park in New York City, having a great stroll, and I get a call from Lynn Road. I'm like, okay. She goes, Lisa, you know what I told you before? Well, that's all kind of changed because Madison Center closed down overnight. And therefore, Clubhouse shut their doors overnight. Okay. Just to tell you, this is our work, right? So I came back more often, you know, everything, you know, worked out. But what happened during that year actually was really interesting. It made me realize even more so just the fragile, you know, foundations between so many things. And I was in New York City, and I got to visit the first clubhouse that was ever created, the Fountain House. And I was like, this is very interesting. And it's very different than the Sunshine Clubhouse that we had, which was very good in its own way. I came back, I got involved with NAMI, had a wonderful chance to start teaching a seminar for students at Notre Dame. Interestingly enough, no, not an academic, but they wanted someone to teach a class that taught students what it actually looks like and feels like to have serious mental illness. Not just what we read about in a book, but, you know, the experiential side. So I had the blessing of doing that. Then I kept seeing people basically on the street that I knew used to be part of the Sunshine Clubhouse. And two of them actually were homeless, and they were going, I gave a talk, they were set up for the homeless, and they were there. And they came up to me and they said, we have to have another clubhouse. Well, yeah, we do. So a little bit like the very first people in 1948 that were released from a psychiatric hospital. All the hospitals were closed when some of the new medications came out, and people were just out on the street. They were the people that started. They were originally, you know, inpatient in the hospital, and they said, what are we going to do? Let's just meet once a week and get together. Okay. I said, you guys, why don't we meet and get together? We met at Burger every Thursday, 4 o'clock. Jenn was there. Okay, there were a few other people. And we would talk about what we can do and how much we needed it and how helpful it would be. Okay, I knew we needed to do something more than that. So then, Doug Tanner, who does the Southland Chocolate Company, ran into him, and he said, oh, well, why don't you move over to my place here? You can have one of these rooms in the back. I said, yeah, bring people in. Great. So we did that. I kept inviting more people. Then I had a former student who was now an architecture student, and I said, hey, would you guys want to come in and we could talk about what we want in the clubhouse? Just before we funding or anything. So they did designs, but it was wonderful because the students, the former members got to say, well, we'd like to have a really nice lounge, and then we'd like to have, and so all these things were happening, okay? Still, we need more progress. Someone said, why don't you write a paper and submit it to the South Bend Tribune? I did that, and I'm not kidding. I had people calling me up saying, yeah, we want to help you, we want to help you. And that's when I said, okay, people from all these different places, Gary knows, we decided to meet at my house Saturday mornings, breakfast, and brainstorming. And it was a wide variety of people. We needed money. And a lot of money. Where are you going to get that kind of money? We were fortunate enough to connect with the other clubhouses in Indiana, and I connected with Clubhouse International in New York. And so we were on this listserv, and I'm not kidding you, on a Sunday afternoon, I got a call from one of my contacts, and they said, you guys got the email about the grant, right? From the Department of Mental Health. And they want to give some money to clubhouses. I said, oh, that's great. She said, yeah, it's due tomorrow at noon. So I basically have a sleepover with some friends. We wrote that grant, and thanks be to God, we secured that grant. It was that grant that allowed us to then say, oh my gosh, so we can hire a director and maybe find a temporary space. So that's a lot moved into one little piece. What we were really lucky about is we were able to hire Mark Buchanan as our first director. Mark came with about 20 plus years of Clubhouse experience. We didn't know how amazing that was. He knew how everything worked. He was connected in the Clubhouse world. And so in terms of us getting started, it was fabulous. And let's see, then I go to the sad part of COVID. A couple things changed. We are still really strong, but when Mark was leaving, it was right after COVID. COVID was really, really difficult for us. We were trying to find a new director. It would be tough. I don't know if we could have found anyone better than Tess to come in as our director because everything was just all over the place. So, right, you come for a job, oh yeah, it's a complete disaster, okay? I'm not sure, let's see, the books haven't been, well, I think that file's over here, wait a second, and Tess was like, yeah, okay. And she just has taken it on, so we are so grateful to Tess. Another thing that has happened, and Cindy is here from Oakland, is because of some of the previous way that Oakland was able to fund and support us. It was, originally a way where they would help reimburse Medicaid. What are they called? Anyway, for our members who would come. We learned about a year and a half ago that they weren't able to do this anymore because they are building their own programs and going for some more, certification. So now we're at this amazing place where we have come so far. We have these members that are just so accomplished. You're going to hear from two of them today. We have a former staff member here who was one of my students, Lily. So we have come so far, and I have no doubt that we're going to move forward and we're going to grow and things are going to be positive. But it's never without a few bumps, along the way. And anyway, it's an amazing, I didn't talk much about Clubhouse per se, but what's so amazing about it, I will say this. When I would ask my son why he didn't want to finish some program that was 3 weeks long, if he finished going to that program, then he could go on to something else. I'm not saying everyone's like this, but he was. He said, I just don't want to talk about why I'm so sick for, 3 hours a day for 3 weeks or whatever. And for him, and for me, when I saw the Clubhouse model, the model that says, we want you to come here because you want to come here, okay? We value you because of who you are, the strengths that you have. We want you to have hope, just like so many of us have hope, meaning in our lives. Think of all of us, just think for a second. What gives you meaning? What gives you hope in your lives? So many of our members especially when they first come to us, they don't have that. And that is something that Clubhouse provides. And I don't know of any other organization or place that does it as well.
First time stepping through the doors was in the middle of COVID. And the next time I tried to come in, they were closed because of COVID. And so like around 5 years ago, I was in and out of Epworth, and I eventually got sent to Evansville State Hospital for about 5 months. And when I got out, I was in a group home. I was still like kind of not really knowing what was going on with me, you know. And while I was at Jefferson House, I became more regular at Clubhouse. And it's really been a great support for me. Now I'm able to work, and like Bob was talking about the definition of like success or recovery. For me, it was always been holding a full-time job, and I'm working on it still, but because of the support I have at Clubhouse, I've been able to maintain a 9-month period where I was working full-time. And now I'm back again working part-time at Lane Bryant. And yeah, it's been quite a road, and Clubhouse has been with me throughout it. And I feel like it's, made a big difference in my life.
This is a song that we just think is so beautiful. We love it in general, but especially for people in the house. You know, we have been working for weeks on this. When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough. Friends just can't be found like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down.
When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. When darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine, all your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. See how they shine.